delay. This roundtable, what is the topic? That is to say, to have skills which can be hybrid between cybersecurity and artificial intelligence, because we know that already for a few years artificial intelligence is strongly present in cybersecurity and in cyber topics. And we had some questions. How can we have these hybrid skills between artificial intelligence and cyber? There is a shortage of these double skills. We have very good skills in one side and not in the other one. So here we have four very good speakers. I have here Thomas Filot, who is the CISO of Miracle, and then Vincent Marais, who is the associate partner, and in cybersecurity, high practice in KPMG, and then Francis Ofungu from CISO GitLab. Welcome, Francis. He's going to speak in English, so we are going to have French and then English.
And we really thank you for joining us. Et puis,
and then Lenin Pedro, who is going to arrive. Maybe I'm going to present her again when she arrives. And Lenin is the CEO of Trust Valley in Lausanne, Switzerland, and Innovation Park. So I'm going to introduce her again when she arrives. Maybe we are going to wait for a few seconds. I have already introduced the panel members. Yes, it's a good idea. Maybe, okay, Thomas, you're right. While we are waiting for Lenin, maybe I give you a few minutes to introduce yourself.
As we wait for Lenin, maybe I will give each of you like 1 minute to introduce yourself and what your role is. Maybe we can start with you.
Sure. Welcome. Good morning. My name is Francis Ofungu. I am the Global Field CISO at GitLab. Been at GitLab now for over 2 years and lead the field security practice to help customers understand how to manage the complexity of software security within their development lifecycle. Part of my role is to meet with other CISOs as a former CISO and share some good stories and bad stories of things that we see in the field, but also help them strategically to understand the complexity that things like automation and artificial intelligence brings to their software development lifecycle and help them manage that complexity. So glad to be here.
Thanks. Big thank you. Maybe Vincent?
Bonjour à toutes et à tous.
Yes, hello, good morning. I'm an associate in KPMG, and I take care of cybersecurity and data protection. So it's a Trust IDA, 30 years of experience, and I have never been able to be the CISO. I have had different other fields, technical part. I have really studied the topic of cyber topics, the link between cyber and artificial intelligence, and the risk in emerging techniques. And I have also explored and seen, and because of the difference and the common points between usual cyber topics and the risks in relation with artificial intelligence. Yes, Lenny, welcome. We just have started rapidly to introduce the roundtable, so we just ask people to introduce themselves. If you want. Yes. Do you want to introduce yourself rapidly? What is it that you do, actually? And then we are going to go with Thomas. Yes. Hello, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really pleased to be with you. My name is Lenin Pedro. I'm the director of Trust Valley. It's a private public partnership in Switzerland, working at the global level in digital trust and cybersecurity. and I'm the chairperson and founder of the NGO in the same field with some 100 people. And we have lots of hackers. So my co-founder is a famous hacker, very well known. I work in many different actions, not only at the cyber level, but Gen I, artificial intelligence, and we have been focusing also on quantic dimensions as well. Thomas? Yes? I take care of the security team in Miracles. We have a software that allows you to do marketplace. So it allows our customers to be competitors to Amazon, for example. So lots of people in the e-commerce. It's a French company that has 10 years. We were born in the cloud and in the data. And also I have worked in NCE, so I have a rather large security background. Yes, Miracles is a really good French success story. Maybe we are going to start the panel. I would like to ask all of you one question. What is the use, because we are going to have questions about the shortage of skills in cyber and AI, how can we have hybrid skills between these two fields? For you, would you use the artificial intelligence in the cyber field? Well, broadly, my boss, when ChatGPT, well, everybody would use it, he takes decisions very rapidly. He sent an email to all the workers and told them, you have to spend at least 1 hour a day and get to know how artificial intelligence is going to change your job. Otherwise, other people will do better. So in Miracle, in my company, whatever your job it is, but we have to understand how this artificial intelligence would work. We have people who work already in with AI for machine learning, for example. So in the safety part, we have two roles: to provide support to all the people who use AI without thinking about the risk. This is one of the topics. Also, we have to use it in order to change our own professions. I can tell you that half of my analysts just spare 20% of their time because of the use of AI. Even technical teams, people who do pen tests, they are able to save time because, of course, AI would do it in a more rapid way than human beings, so that they can focus on their own specific knowledge in the cyber field. Yes, maybe Lenny, would you like to answer this question? What would be the examples today of the use of AI in the cybersecurity field? I would say that AI has been used for a while in white hat and also in very many different fields and against cyber crimes. There are lots of legends, maybe. People think that everything automated. During the recent studies, we can see that there are tools totally automated, and they are able to hack themselves, and they do the whole work. So the studies tell us that the work of the pen tester is going to change. This is already the case. So lots of users. I have worked with startups also. We have lots of startups that would couple cyber and also Gen AI. Everything is speeding up in a year and a half. Everything, the panorama has changed, the landscape. When you have 50 startups, we had to raise some 400 million euros. And increasingly, people work with Gen AI, but these are tools that work. Out of curiosity, do you have a startup? Your favorite startup, which was be maybe very interesting? I have a startup which is very useful on a daily basis. Not necessarily in the cyber field, but in the trust field. They have studied in Lausanne, and they have decided these are academics, they are researchers. So we do very many things. A smart room, we have a smart room. In confidentiality, you can work with AI. And they recognize our voice. They allow us to generate minutes of meetings, reports in a very incredible way. So this allows us to save time. Why is it in relation with trust? Because it's a matter of confidentiality of information. They have even taken into account sustainable development. In their own design, they have pivoted 1.5 times. This is a kind of project which is being coupled with another project in ciphering. So we do peer-to-peer, and we can see that these ciphering projects are being coupled with also AI projects. What about you?
Usage of AI do you see in cyber, and maybe do you see things to accelerate it?
So at GitLab, we make the distinction between code generation, or just coding, and software development. We believe that software development is more complex and involves a number of different steps to get to from your idea to actually releasing code. And over the years, what we've seen is that that complexity with software development has gotten quite unruly to manage, meaning you have different automation tools, you have different stakeholders, you have different feedback loops, and try to get all those things together can be a fairly ungoverned sprawl, as I say. And what we try to think of when we think of artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and software development is how do we make that ungoverned sprawl easier to manage? Because what happens after there's a cybersecurity incident is people start asking questions like, what does that code do? Or what does that package do? Or what does that specific function do? And this just adds more time to the incident management lifecycle. So it takes a really long time to solve the incident. And what we're seeing with either regulations at the country level or at the continent level with things like NIS2 and DORA, or in the States we have NIST cybersecurity frameworks, is we need to reduce the time to resolution for all these software events. And artificial intelligence can actually help us expand the number of people that we have to help us remediate some of these events by giving developers things that can help them explain the code faster, by giving them real-time feedback loops around vulnerabilities that have been introduced into the code in real time, not during a pen test or as a scan afterwards. You're essentially getting more ways to improve your security posture and reduce your attack surface with semi or near real-time feedback loops that are driven by artificial intelligence.
Thanks. Maybe peut-être une question pour toi.
Maybe a question for you, Vincent. We can see that there is a shortage of skills or double skills, but of course there are very many things which are being done. So my question is also, can we really trust so much these solutions that have been developed? We AI inside that cyber solutions that have been developed without the AI. Do we need so much the AI? When we think about these two sides, we can see AI as a tool for the attackers, capable of attacking in an automated way to reconcile the mass for the phishing. We can see the AI as a solution, as a shield. We have talked about AIs that allow you to save some time. And the analyst can save time in the SOC. There are also products for detecting malwares, which are based on AI. And also, we should not forget that AI can be a target. You have specific features, technological ones, linked with the learning of the data, and also the probability for the AI based on neuronal networks. Therefore, there are new kinds of attacks, so adversarial attacks, and also there are intrinsic weaknesses. For example, lack of explanations, the biases that can introduce problems. Although there is no malevolent actor that can try to exploit it. So we have to explore things. We have to look at this. We don't have to doubt in experimenting these and use tools based on AI, which are going to be necessary in order to counter malevolent or malicious AI. But of course, target, shield, and attacker, these are the three elements. We have to also realize that if there is a hacker that has to face a defending AI, the attacker can be tempted and use vulnerabilities linked to underlying technologies. This is already the case, and already for years, on anti-spam tools, and some of them are based on learning compared to spam models, and there has already been different documentations to circumvent these, for example, by other adversarial attacks. Now, to come back to what you are saying, actually, Thomas, in your company, how is your assessment about the specific risk linked to the AI usage in relation with cybersecurity? So, generally speaking, I belong to an association which is called César, with different organizations in France, and you can look at their documents. You can see the trends and about what's happening, and about this very topic. SSIs don't like new things. They don't like clouds. What about AI? They are afraid because they don't understand this, and they are obliged to change their position. So in this document, you can see that 50% of these people think that they have to change the action methods of their companies, but only 15% have integrated the AI in their cybersecurity strategies. Personally speaking, we have integrated AI immediately. Our CEO said, you have to do it. So we have tried to use it. Yes, there are new risks, but at the end of the day, cybersecurity risks are always the same. Lack of trust, and also the problem of integrity, but this is not the topic for AI. So we want to have data which is correct. So you have to check that what has come out of this machine is what I want. There has been a small story. Air Canada, a chatbot, has answered a customer, yes, you can be reimbursed for this ticket or get a 10 € ticket. And Air Canada said, we haven't said so, it's the chatbot. And the court said, no, it is you, it is your AI, so you have spoken. So we really have to take some distance about the confidentiality. Maybe this is the biggest issue. I have seen some slides yesterday, and OpenAI needed 2 months just to have 100 million users. This is really crazy. Each time a new technology is adopted by so many people, people use it just not because they are ignorant. They want to test it. with Gen AI is to give them a lot of data. So in the companies, in the businesses, we just use a DOST. They are going to federate all the data of the company, and then we are absolutely sure that somebody who want to have access, our role is to put the safeguards to make sure that we are going to put limitations to the data that we put in these tools, because we're really sure that a chatbot that has access to this data, even if they don't know it, they will have means to circumvent them. And also, we are going to have different teams or specialized company. They have called their company Giscard, like the French president. They are not French. So I thought this is not going to work in France. They have here a staff. Well, maybe they don't know who is Giscard, who was the French president. So we are going to test. We are going, as we do it in the security. We are going to say, okay, as an attacker, what would I do with this whole model? In all our tests, we have realized that you can have data of training. So the users have to be accompanied. That is to say, the data that you give to AI can become public or accessible to companies. So you really have to think about this risk at its very roots. So if we talk about skills, you trying to find the good resources or train your teams, I have a question for each of you, the members of our panel. How do you find these skills? How do you train people inside your own company? Maybe Vincent, is it more complicated to train a cyber expert to the use of artificial intelligence? How do you do? It is the present question, the topical question, because you have a whole sector of cybersecurity, people who are trained, people who are in the companies, in the businesses, corporations. They know how the usual cybersecurity would work, the issues of malware, access, etc. But then also you have projects for developing artificial intelligence use case, and people who are very brilliant who take care of this. They know underlying discipline and technologies. And these are very high-level disciplines and topics you have to study for many years, do research. And in actual facts, what we need today is people who combine both. So there should be an underlying technological dimension which should be controlled and known at a certain level to understand the risk and how you can control this risk. You cannot ban everything. You cannot bridle innovation and the performance of AI. So this is somehow what I have discovered. Sometimes I thought it's very different from what I've been doing for 25 years. There is the issue of it's a probability, while before we were deterministic. There are whole issues at stake. It's going to be solved little by little because deep learning, IA technologies are integrated more and more for people who study computer science and who are engineers. These resources are going to arrive little by little in the companies and businesses. But today, there are issues at stake for people who have been working in different companies for 5 or 10 years. They have to find the time to go and get the culture. It's more than the culture. It's the whole pool of knowledge that will allow you to understand technologies which are linked to AI. How do you develop them? How do you use them? And then later to understand, to control, if it's possible, the intrinsic vulnerability, and then to control the different kind of attacks, and then to control, if possible, the different process that can be put into place to control the risk in relation with AI. This is not being done through an e-learning with 2 hours. I think you need more time, a few days, a few weeks, and of course, in the different cybersecurity teams and companies, that people have to operate choices and choose people who already are interested, who have some appetite to invest their time so that they can acquire skills in this field. And then they can have these double or twofold skills that can be used. If you could you share maybe with us and with the room your cyber experts? How many hours, how many days are they trained about AI? To have benchmarks, maybe.
The issue is that they have to be trained not only on AI, the rest is going on. So they have to train on quantics, on blockchain, whatever. Our technical experts, well, they spend 20% of their time on R&D. It's not always easy. There's not AI is essential, of course, but the other issues are not solved. Thank you so much for your precision. Lenik, sorry. You meet a lot of young people. Do you see a new generation coming who are AI cyber compatible? How do you see this evolve? The new generation integrates the emerging technologies, obviously. According to a survey that was made on 1,000 hackers, we know that 55% of them think that AI will be more performant in 10 years. Senior managers are also training these young people. Some of these young have learned things by themselves. The priority of use of AI is in cyber. The idea is to automate tasks. So there's a development which uses all these tools. AI is able, as I said, to test things by itself. In a little time, we'll be able to use it differently. I think that the quality of the work will also increase. This community of hackers also mentions that creativity will remain will also be put in the algorithms. You will also need human creativity. AI will help them be augmented. What we see is young people who study cybersecurity in their masters, but who will also study AI. We also work a lot on quantum. We have CERMA in Geneva, and the work is also done on that part. Today, we see that the quantum part is not mature yet, but there are already algorithms in the matter. Do quantum algorithms that are not mature yet, well, when we are going to reach an inflection point, what is going to happen? A lot of students or PhD students who reflect on that.
Training to get the right people on board?
Yeah, so training is a very important concept for us, and I feel part of the challenge that we have, and we've always had in cybersecurity, is that cybersecurity teams and personas feel they can do it all. And we're just not equipped or resourced to have data science knowledge, have software engineering knowledge, have infrastructure knowledge. So not only do we need to train cybersecurity professionals on how to create or govern trustworthy AI, we have to also train the other stakeholders involved in development of our AI systems on how to manage data securely, how to meet the privacy obligations of the data that they're using, because all those stakeholders have a role to play in developing trustworthy AI. And when we talk about this sort of unicorn of this hybridized version of cybersecurity and artificial intelligence, I think it's important to note that the #1 challenge that CEOs and CTOs mention when they think about adopting artificial intelligence is how trustworthy is it? And to your point around trust, when we say trust, it means security, it means privacy, it means compliance, it means resilience. And I feel that cybersecurity professionals are well equipped with their legacy knowledge and their traditional knowledge to help businesses deliver on that promise of trust. Because when you look at the things that we have to do for trustworthy AI, they look a lot like the things we've had to do for years for trustworthy cloud or trustworthy software. They are the fundamentals of assessing the workflows, making sure there are guardrails, making sure that you can have good incident response, red teaming. These are all factors that go into creating trustworthy AI. So I'm excited for the future of cybersecurity professionals because I feel that for us to have trustworthy AI, we're going to be very reliant on cybersecurity professionals to help us drive that mission. But again, to repeat myself a little bit, we can't do it alone. We have to train up the other personas and the other stakeholders involved in those workflows to develop AI to make sure that they understand their responsibility to create trustworthy artificial intelligence.
Merci. Peut-être même question pour toi, Thomas. Comment, en fait, est-ce que vous recrutez des nouvelles personnes avec cette double compétence ou est-ce que vous avez plutôt une stratégie de former les gens en interne?
Have you had a strategy for training people internally? I think we should be too simplistic. Everyone drives a car and not everyone knows how a car works. Well, when Google arrived, of course, you use Google on a daily basis, but you do not know always how it works. So, okay, let's not get the wrong fight here. AI is a real complex issue. There are researchers, mathematicians. It doesn't date back from yesterday. So paradoxically, there are lots of expertise in the AI creation, in the technique. And I'll tell you something simple. My 17-year-old daughter knows very well how to use AI because she thinks it's very practical. And because with these tools are not complex on a daily basis. Second element, we know we lack expertise in cybersecurity, but cybersecurity is a vast field. Most of the time, you manage risks. People in cybersecurity are at the heart of the reflection in companies because we are no cloud experts, no application security or code experts. We have to understand our jobs. We have to understand everything, but we are not experts in everything. So I don't know. Of course, there will be people who specialize a lot and who know how to secure AI. But 90% of people who do security will have to understand and what are the associated risks and what you do about them. And to answer your question, with Miracle, we are not going to recruit someone who specializes in AI, but everyone who's involved with security has to know what AI is about. One of the questions we ask ourselves how can we facilitate collaboration between the different jobs? How do we reach this hybridization? Maybe a question for you, Vincent. Between these two jobs, do you see similarities or things that make you think that collaboration, cooperation will occur? To come back on what Francis and Thomas just said, complexity of underlying technologies, mathematics, etc., is such that you cannot send each member of a security team to get a PhD in AI. So there is a balance to be found between having people who are aware enough on AI to be efficient and for it to be actionable, to be able to talk with data scientists, to have a high-level discussion with them. And as Francis said, it is also necessary to have a dialogue with data scientists to give them this mindset that that cyber people have, and to see evil everywhere. If something has a value, and we hope AI will bring value to companies and society as a whole, if something is valuable, well, some people could try and exploit this and steal it and etc. So we have cyber expertise people, experts in MITs, in data science. We work with them to try and have hybridization with people, to have as much value as possible for the client and develop AIs that have use cases that bring productivity improvement, etc., and at the same time help us manage risk and limit them. I think that people who work in cybersecurity have seen many things coming over the years, internet, the cloud, etc. And cyber was not taken into account as from the beginning. And they want today that AI be taken into account, not to find themselves in a situation 25 years from now where, well, we should have taken AI into consideration. Well, we feel that we want to do things right without killing innovation, but as from the beginning. Lenig wants to react to what you just said. Yes. In the interesting partnership, well, the White House worked with DEF CON. It surprised many people, but they asked the best AI developers, Microsoft, NVIDIA, Stability AI, etc., to participate in a public assessment. If we do not want to make the same mistakes we did with cyber by design, I think it's quite interesting. This positioning is quite interesting. To integrate these AI developers and have them put them in connection with DEF CON, etc. And they created this AI village, and it's interesting.
So we know that generative AI is developing a lot of specialized solutions per domain. So there will be solutions dedicated to cyber. So my question is, with Gen AI, do you think that it would be more easy to develop cyber skills, and that maybe the job of cyber experts, which was technically very complicated and really an expert job, do you think it will be given to anybody to become a cyber expert thanks to Gen AI?
Absolument. That's the only French word I know, so I figured I'll use it.
Yes.
Seriously, we have, obviously, cybersecurity, as you said, is complex, and we have a number of things that we can automate and improve with artificial intelligence. But one of the things that we have to be mindful of with that process is this concept of garbage in, garbage out, meaning you can't just sprinkle AI on your current processes and hope it'll get better and less complex. You have to actually take the time to understand your current workflow of exactly what your processes are before you decide which processes you want to empower or automate with artificial intelligence. And I feel like that's sometimes a missing step, is that we're very quick to apply automation or artificial intelligence to broken processes, and that only magnifies or exacerbates the problem that we had initially. So when we think of using artificial intelligence to make cybersecurity processes less complex, we have to first, as I said, understand those workflows, but also start now to implement those guardrails. I think, as Vincent mentioned, we made several mistakes when we had cloud and we had all these advancements in technology over the years where cybersecurity was not top of mind for those implementations. And now that we know those mistakes, let's reverse that. Let's now build in guardrails from the get-go, from day one, to make sure that our developers and our infrastructure engineers that use artificial intelligence have a very clear line of standards and expectations that they will be expected to follow, and that our artificial intelligence tools can detect when we don't follow those, and that will help us create a more sustainable future in the implementation of artificial intelligence.
Merci. Je vous propose une dernière.
I suggest one last question before entering into Q&A. We addressed it partly, but on the contrary, do you think cyber skills can help AI become more trustworthy? Do you think culture of medical hacking can be useful? What could cyber bring on this issue of trust we need to have in AI solutions? Very short answer. Yes, of course. I think Microsoft, for several years, has put in place cybersecurity teams to test their AI. All the people who develop either engines or models, or the people who build complex architectures, collect data on the one hand and try and provide answers with AI-generated responses, all these people should have staff who understand the risks associated to what they do. We were talking about poisoning. It is not the same if you're in a training phase or in or using machine learning in a security solution. You need to make sure there is no false positive, etc. Whatever the job, and particularly in technology jobs, you have to involve people who understand the risks and who will be able to test them, put guardrails, access rules. This example is very simple, but today, if you train a model with data, and if you say to the model, never give this data, well, there will be a way to go around that. We like testing But it would be better if we were able to say, if we do not want data to go out of a model, well, we'd better make sure they're not in. And I think that today, if we want a responsible AI, we have to integrate people who are part of cybersecurity teams. AIs are computers, memories. It's not hardware, but it's SSDs. There's an infrastructure which is classical computing and data poisoning. Well, the best way to avoid it is to make sure people cannot alter this data. Now we have AI red teams. Cloudflare also created AI firewall. There are many similarities, but at the same time, we have to reflect on the fact that it is a little bit different from classical cyber. A few weeks ago, the AI red team took out an article and they presented what they were doing. And what is interesting, the probability aspect of AI has to be taken into account, because sometimes you put the same request and you do not have the same answer. Maybe you have to take the majority of the answers to have the most probable answer. So it's quite funny, because I think it's OpenAI that was recruiting for their red team, and they were asking cyber red team, and they were also asking linguists, psychologists, etc. I applied, but they never answered. Lenig? The challenge for our cyber cooperation is to be able to secure and decrease the risks, mitigate the risks, to be able to exploit the opportunities that we have in front of us. That's the issue. Everyone is aware of it. There have been many discussions here in Lille around that. What is probably lacking is the tactical and operational aspect with gangbangs. Clear positionings at the level of the public sector to go in that direction, and to help entrepreneurs and developers to position their next development correctly, and avoid what we see with data, with aggressive business models. It makes our data are not belonging to us today. So it's a big challenge. We work with the academics, the public sector, and we frame the private sector, not only with regulation, but also with ethics. I think in the coming months and years, this part will be necessary to make peer-to-peer in that field.
Sure.
It's yours.
I'm very excited that the EU is leading the way on legislation for AI. I think between the AI Act and the Cyber Resilience Act, we now have a model for the rest of the world to copy, to have clear standards and legislation on what is expected of companies to develop trustworthy AI. In addition, I think the problem of supply chain is still going to be something that we have to address in this space, because unless I live in Seattle, so I have Amazon and Microsoft in my backyard, but none of us have the resources of those companies, and we can develop our own data centers and silicon to develop AI. So we're going to have a supply chain of other organizations that we are including in our AI development. So it's really up to us as customers to ask those producers for transparency around their AI development, because once we know what they are doing, what's the recipe of their AI development, we also can be transparent with what we're using their AI for. So that supply chain transparency is going to be as important to this process as our internal processes as well.
Merci. Je pense qu'on a encore
I think we still have time for some questions. Please raise your hand so we can see. Please ask quick questions so that 2 or 3 questions can be put. No regrets? Okay, thank you so much for participating to this roundtable. Thank you.